Alrighty then, welcome back to the podcast. We've been off the air for a bit of time, but we have returned once more to talk about the things that matter, computer games and otherwise. My name is Aaron.
And my name is Chris.
And Chris's suggestion was that we talk about how sick we were. And I don't know if there's a market out there for this kind of an intro, but we were sick, and I'm sure across the country, everyone like this crud made its way across the world and across the country because it was hard, it was miserable,
it was brutal. Yeah.
It was not a fun thing. So I wasn't near death. I don't know how Chris was.
No, not near death, but I didn't feel
you were
flip.
death adjacent.
I was death parallel.
Not perpendicular. You're like, I'm riding on a side street on a frontage road to death. It's like, hey, there's death riding on I-76 and I'm on frontage road.
It's following me.
It's following me. Hopefully I don't have to exit off frontage and back on the highway. That's going to catch up. We're going to be in trouble. So there you go.
Oh,
so if you're ever looking for a way to describe your situation and you're really sick, but you're not quite like feeling like death adjacent is an appropriate way, or you're on the frontage road of death. You're not on the highway of death. You're not on the highway to hell. You're on the frontage road to hell. You're watching the hell road. That's the way to say that.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome to the County Gamers, where we're on the frontage road to hell. There you go. There's your metaphor for the day, ladies and gentlemen.
That was so good.
We're gonna exit off the frontage road to hell. We're gonna get back on the main streets, which is more heck than hell. We'll be back here in just a moment. We're going to talk about games and everything else. So buckle up, strap in, and don't get on the highway because that's not a good place to be. We'll be right back after this slightly out of control moment. All right, welcome back to the podcast, and my name is Aaron.
And my name is Chris.
It was delightful. And we are the County Gamers. We are back in the swing of things once more into the great computer gaming experience. Chris has been playing a game for a while. He's going to talk about that in a second. But what I want to talk about, and which we're perpetually late to this discussion, I think, which is fine. Everything's on fire, but it's fine, is Starfield, which was originally supposed to come out in November, has been pushed back to 2023, I think March.
They suck.
You hear us, Bethesda? We've talked about you enough. You should know. We should be on your list of people you don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
But this is the thing about it. Like, I get it. Like, we want to make it perfect. We want to make it, and they don't. I'm guessing. This is just a theory that I have no actual information to back this up. This is a wild theory or a conspiracy theory, if you will, with no backup. This is like you wouldn't even watch this on the Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel would refuse to run this conspiracy theory show. They would be like, "No, it's too far. We don't." You like, God love you, Discovery Channel, but you run some crazy stuff.
Yeah, they
like
do.
You stuff that's just like, is that really real? And they've got like two-sided sources that sort of look okay.
Yeah.
My conspiracy theory. There are no primary, no secondary, no third. It's like a fourth-string resource from the Weekly World News.
Fourth string.
It's a fourth-string news story. We're not in Denver Broncos territory. I don't even know if we're Cincinnati Bengals territory. We might be in the Jets territory at this point with our football analogies. Anyway, the point of the matter is that my thought is they probably wanted to avoid a Cyberpunk 2077 situation.
Yeah, they did.
Because Cyberpunk, when it came out, and it was, it needed a lot more cooking time.
Burn.
And my guess is that they have been probably working very hard on Starfield. But my guess is that they were like, They like, and it may be there. Like another layer to this theory is it may be not. Wow, that was
That was some good.
I'm a language arts teacher by day, and we just ended school last week, so my grammar has gone out the window, and it has escaped. It is no longer here. I'm working on finding it. We've got milk cartons everywhere. So my the point of it is, there's two sides to this. There is a side of they wanted to probably prevent a Cyberpunk 27 situation, but my other theory or my other worry here is that instead of like just actually manning up and doing their thing and rocking and rolling it, they got nervous. They got like, well, I mean, we've got everything on track and everything's working, but November's coming soon. Like, we got the summer to get this thing nailed out and taken care of. But maybe we just need a little more time in the oven.
Yeah.
Like, let's push it back. And so my guess is that they saw all the failures of all the gaming companies that have come out with real bombs lately. And they said, we don't want to be them. And plus, this is the company that produced Fallout 76. They're already on people's lists.
Yeah, they're on people's hit list.
People are already upset at them for Fallout 76, and that has been going on for years.
Yeah.
And so Bethesda probably said, look, we need till March. Let's give it all the time we need.
Yep.
Let's make sure that it cures. We don't get no salmonella or E. coli in our ingredients in our baking. Like let's get the fires. Let's get the flamethrower. Let's really bake this thing. Let's really cook it. Let's make sure that it is maybe even overcooked. Like let's
be right.
Let's let's overbake this sucker. And that again, the analogy starts to fall apart because then you start talking about losing flavor, and I don't think the project's gonna lose flavor, but like I think they're trying to overcook it because they don't want it to come out and be like, this is what you got.
They're terrified.
I'm sure they are, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
They have released Skyrim on everything, including probably fridges. And so Skyrim is the gold standard.
I love
Skyrim has and I still will go back and play that game.
I love that game.
Like today, I'm contemplating going back into the Skyrim world because number one, it's an awesome, fun game at its base and with its DLCs. But the mod world has made Skyrim an incredible game to play because you have so many different ways that real world creators have expanded that world and made it so much better. Even though the engine is like 10 years old, 20 years old.
Yeah, it's old. You can tell.
But that's another subject too. So I was reading an article and they were talking about how like the Creation 2 engine that they've got is they're making sure that it's working and that there was this weird kind of conversation in the article about how they needed to make sure that it was going to work, like that there weren't bugs. And they talked about how there are still vestiges and pieces of the Creation 1 engine in Creation 2. So it's still it's a similar engine. It's been advanced and it's been improved.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's a different engine, but they were like the way that I read it is that it had become a much more elevated version of Creation 1 that they were having to grapple with. Oh my gosh, it's actually a good engine and can do the things, and we got to make sure that we have everything working and that this is not going to be a Fallout 76 situation or whatever. So it was kind of a weird read of like going, okay, do you guys actually know what you're doing? Can you build a system? Can you build something besides Creation Engine? Like, because you talk about, so the Witcher series operated for the longest time on an engine that they had that they used for Cyberpunk. And recently the news came out that the next Witcher game is going to be using the Unreal Engine.
Oh, darn.
So
that's going to be good.
Yeah, so that's exciting because that is a whole, and that's what even CD Projekt Red talked about in an article where they said, like, this is a game changer for us. We have to adapt to the future of gaming. We have to really embrace this technology.
Yeah.
And so they have not given a timeline for the release of the next Witcher game, but they talked about how they've begun the work on it, and the future looks good with that. Which I mean, I think that it's a smart way to go. Because if you look at Cyberpunk 2077, there are a lot of limiting factors, and I haven't gone back to play it. I think I talked to you this last time we talked about this, but I haven't finished Cyberpunk 2077, and I've gotten to the point I've gotten to the point where I could finish the base story, but I almost am just like, I don't want to. Like, what's the motivation? Like, what's the point here, dudes? Like, what? I'm sure it's a great story, but like I've been wounded or kind of metaphorically like kind of messed with so many times with this game over the launch and the bugs and the fixes and everything.
Yep.
Over this summer I may go back to it. Like I've got a lot more time on my hands now. So it's interesting to kind of see gaming engine progression. They also, I don't know if you saw this, they announced the sequel to the Jedi Fallen Order.
I did not see that.
So the trailer ran this last week. It is called Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And it continues the storyline of our character.
Yep.
And the trailer looks legit. Like, it looks really impressive and awesome.
Yep.
And so my hope is, my fingers and toes are crossed, that the development that made that game an impressive difference maker in the Star Wars license market will continue with this game. That they're not going to play games, that someone's not going to try to get in the kitchen and mess with it from there. So that was an interesting development. There's not really a lot of big news that I've seen coming out of the gaming world. It's summer, so we're going to kind of probably have a little bit of whatever. I'm trying to think. I've played a lot of City Skylines, and I've been really loving getting back into that. And here's something weird. So I bought the Division 2, Tom Clancy's Division 2.
Oh yeah.
And I loved it for a while, and then I bought the DLC, and it's in New York, and it's kind of weird. Like, I just have not been wanting to get back into that game.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's a looter shooter, but also it's not. It's just, I don't know. I think I'm burned out on first person shooters.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this before. Like, I'm not a first person shooter
yeah,
guy. You know, like it's not my jam. I hate all the Call of Duty games. They're just dumb. Whatever. And I'm sure there's people out there who are just like, well, you're an idiot because they're awesome. I'm like, okay, well, great, congratulations, you enjoy them, but
They burn them out though.
Yeah, well, the concepts are so, and I think part of that I blame Far Cry. I blame
Oh,
Far Cry for this.
Oh yeah, Far Cry.
Because Far Cry, and there was a, I know we're just talking about news in the first part of the segment, but I read an article, someone wrote it, and again, I'm referencing articles that I probably should have actually linked somewhere, but that talked about how the Far Cry series, which is if you hear it, you're gonna go, well, yeah, Sherlock Holmes, yeah, this is exactly what people have been saying.
Yep.
But that the Far Cry game has become just a parody of itself. Like Far Cry 6 had great characters, had great ideas. They brought in the guy from Breaking Bad, the bad guy from Breaking Bad, to be the character. But what happened is that it wasn't there was no originality of actual gameplay. It was the same old Far Cry that's been since Far Cry 3. Where you climb the ropes, you do the thing, okay, whatever. There's no real difference maker.
Creativity.
There's no creativity because it's just the same structure. Now, you compare that with I just lost my train of thought. The game that came out that people the Japanese game. Oh, I got to pull up Steam because my brain is.
Oh darn.
Elden Ring. There it is. So Elden Ring shifted how gameplay was.
Yeah.
It challenged a lot of people about how the gameplay, because the games weren't it wasn't the formulaic kind of standard kind of thing.
Yep.
That Elden Ring definitely shifted. And it feels like a lot of the Tom Clancy, the Division, all those, the Call of Duty, Far Cry, they've fallen into this practice of this makes us a lot of money. This formula, this way of gameplay, people buy it.
Yeah.
And they'll keep buying it, and they'll keep buying the DLCs and everything, and it works, and it gets us the money. The problem with that is the inventiveness that really marked, when the first Far Cry game came out. I don't remember if you played it.
The very first one, that game was fire, man.
And it was so crazy, right? Because
game was
no one had ever
awesome.
seen that before.
No, it was crazy.
You were just like, this is incredible. What the heck? This is madness.
And it was hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap, it was hard.
But I look back at that, and I
loved it.
I have memories of just the exploration, and just you could do all
world.
these. Yeah, the world. I mean, the graphics, you look at it today, and you're like, that was impressive at the time. Yes,
it was incredible at the time.
But you look at that gameplay, and you as older gamers, or the old, we can call ourselves the olds, I guess.
The olds.
The olds gamers. There's a title for our podcast. We can change it from the county gamers to the olds gamers. No, we're not going to do that.
No,
we're still the county gamers, dang it.
Yeah.
But I remember that feeling of playing that game for the first time and going,
sweet.
this is so different from everything that I've seen before.
Uh-huh.
This is new. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And there's a marker in my life when I played Far Cry. Yeah. Far Cry 2 was another one that it changed the dynamic. I don't know if you've ever played it.
I didn't play Far Cry 2.
It's interesting. So Far Cry 2 totally shifts the tone of the. It doesn't
darn.
shift the tone, but it shifts. So Far Cry 1 was set in like a Pacific island, and
That
you were
was
on islands
so
and you're
awesome.
whatever. And then Far Cry 2 throws you in the middle of an African country, in the midst of a civil war, and craziness is happening, and you've got malaria, and you got to cure yourself, but you also have to like do all these missions, and you have free reign to wander, and there's all kinds of stuff happening.
Maybe I have played it.
It
then.
is one of them. I have not finished it. I go back and I play it a couple times, like up to a certain point, and then I get distracted. But you play it, and you're just like, okay. If you compare Far Cry and Far Cry 2, you go, there's a difference. The model has changed.
Yeah.
The dynamics and the method
I love
and the
that.
and the sandbox and how this game is played is different.
Yeah.
This is a different game. The mechanics are improved.
Yep.
They've gotten better. They've gotten more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a significantly different storyline. It's not what we did before. And then when Far Cry 3 came out, I was like, oh my gosh, Far Cry 3, crazy. And then it got bad because it went 4, 5, and 6. They were all the same formula. And then they had the New Dawn or whatever.
New Dawn, yeah, that one
Which
sucks.
storyline was dumb because it took your character from 4 or 5 and just totally like just jettisoned it. But I'm sorry, from 5. Yeah, it was 5. So Far Cry 5, the
Those
ending.
5, yeah.
I hated the ending of that game, and I hated what they did because there's no good way to win. And we're getting off on a tangent, but I think we've talked about this before. Far Cry, from like Far Cry 4, I don't remember which one it was, but it was like subverting your expectations in the ending.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you were the bad guy all along,
Yeah.
or you were doing this. It was like,
I don't want to be the bad
I
guy.
don't want to be the bad. I want to be the good guy. I watch the news to find out I'm a bad guy, or I watch the news to find out about the terrible things. I play a computer game to distract myself,
Yeah.
to have fun, to escape. It's called escapist content for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's like they did it with 4 and they did it with 5, and then they did it with 6. I don't know what they did with 6. I didn't even play 6 because I'm not buying it. I'm not paying you more money for a game I've already played.
Yeah.
And then like New Dawn was like an additional layer of that.
I'm not playing.
They did Primeval, Far Cry Primeval. It looked interesting,
Okay.
and you've talked about that.
Oh, that game. Now, that game is pretty sweet.
Would you say that it was similar in how it kind of reinvented the Far Cry formula?
Well, to some degree, yes. The environment, yes. I would say that they made great strides, but in terms of, I mean, they're all pretty much the same though.
Yeah.
But this one, I like the environment. I like the change where I could throw a spear at somebody
Yeah.
throw a rock at them or
Yeah.
something like that. But that's really the only.
But it was good
thing.
enough that you wanted to play it, and you talk
Oh.
about it like it's a good game.
Oh, I beat the game.
Right.
It was a good game.
But because the storyline was this you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the storyline was made to fit the game.
It
And
was.
the game was made to fit the storyline.
That's right.
Like those two pieces, the concept.
Stories first.
Stories first,
Yeah.
and then they said, okay, now we got to figure out how to get the concept and the
That's
dynamics and the gameplay and all that.
Exactly, yeah.
That to work together.
Yeah.
And then that's actually going to make a good game. With
Yeah.
with the other Far Cry, with the main Far Cry series, it's always the same formula. It's always the same thing.
That's terrible.
I see the ropes. The models of the ropes haven't changed since Far Cry 3. Like you climb the ropes and then you jump and then you do the thing and then you got to climb up the tower and see around, and it's the same thing with Assassin's Creed. Like you climb up to get your view, you click the synchronize button, and you're just like, okay, look, I've done this. Could you please make me something new? What's interesting is I've talked about Assassin's Creed Odyssey as being my favorite in the game
you
series.
did say that, yeah.
And next in line is Syndicate, and then next in line is Black Flag.
Yeah.
You'll notice that Origins isn't in there,
Yeah.
and neither is Valhalla.
Yeah.
And those were the more recents. But yeah, Odyssey, I still go back and play that game. I like over the summer.
Odyssey, yeah.
I'm gonna go back to it. It's a lot of fun. Now I cheese a little bit. I use the trainer sometimes because I just like to play through games without having to worry about getting killed. But it is rich. The storyline is rich. The world is rich. And with your high powered machine you've got now, it's awesome. But like that's a struggle with Assassin's Creed as well. Assassin's Creed has struggled with, okay, do we use the same gameplay mechanics?
Yep.
And how do we reinvent it? And I think with Valhalla, they tried. They're like, okay, we're going to go totally off base. We're going for Vikings and weirdness and river raids and all this other stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, but yeah.
You jacked it up.
Well, again, we've talked about this. I don't like being the bad guy. And it feels
Yeah, I
like
don't
in
know that.
Valhalla, the Vikings, we go and we raid monasteries and we kill guards and
Yeah, no.
like we're robbing them. And I'm like, I know that it's fake and imaginary, and you're out there going, Aaron, just get over yourself. But I can't be like, yeah, I'm gonna be a bad guy. I'm gonna
I want
pillage.
to be a good guy.
I want to be the good guy. I want to be a good guy.
bad guy.
That's my goal in life. I want to be the good guy. Now I know there's people out there who play like these games with the intent of being the bad guy because it's fun.
Yep.
But let me be a good guy for once, for crying out loud. So that's and a lot of it, and the same thing with like Dying Light 2. I haven't finished that game. I need to get back into that.
My
But
son likes that game.
I need to get back into it because it does offer enough differences from the original
Yep.
that sets it apart. So it's weird because we have a lot of big gaming kind of properties. You have Tom Clancy, you have Assassin's Creed, you have all this, and a lot of times what they do is they squander it. They squander the property, they squander the ideas, they squander the concepts, and you're like, guys, like you could have made something so much better, like so much more important but you just had to get the microtransactions, you copy and pasted, like you just you did a thing, and then the game, and then people didn't like it, and you wondered why, and you were shocked and awed that happened.
For me, that is the worst part.
Yeah.
When you take a story, it's sort of like when you watch some movies.
Yeah.
Some movies, you can see where they've copied it from this one.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you like.
Yeah.
We're America.
Right.
We're supposed to be unique and
creative and all
and creative, and we're not.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
We're putting out carbon copy movies.
Yeah, we're copy and paste.
Yeah. Well,
Society.
We've talked about this on the Nerd for Screenlight podcast. We've also talked about it here.
Yeah.
Like the reason why Elden Ring made such an impact and continues to make some impact is because it's a great game, but it's also narratively designed well. The story, and it's not like you discover the story when you walk into the game. You discover the story as you go. And it is, and I need to get back into playing it because they've done a whole bunch of patching and upgrades and whatever, because it makes you wander. It makes you look. It makes you. Oh, that didn't sound good. I'm okay if you're wondering. I'm just coughing because it's really dry.
It is dry.
But I've got some liquids that I'm consuming. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's on fire, but it's fine. So my point of it is that the creative games are the ones that longer last.
That's right.
Like nobody remembers, some of the game, like, oh no, EA's, what was it? It's A something.
Oh,
No, it was that. It was, again, it's so forgettable that I can't remember it. It was like the flying game where like it was so terrible. Oh geez, we've mentioned this on the podcast before. Hold on, EA's game failure. There's an article.
How many are there?
There's a game on Screen Rant. 20 video game franchises EA has ruined.
Oh, darn.
I'm very interested to see this.
Oh, that's a good one.
10 ways that EA has totally screwed up. You know what? Let's talk about. We've always talked about EA.
Oh, they suck.
They are really, really great and wonderful.
They're very good.
Nobody's talked about this series because like I can't remember what it was. Man, it's like right there on the tip of my tongue. EA game failures.
I did like Need for Speed though.
But they also ruined that too.
Yeah, they did.
Like that's what they do is they
Hot Pursuit.
Oh, Anthem. There it is.
Oh, Anthem. Yeah.
But like EA. Well, so what I was talking about City Skylines earlier, right? So City Skylines is the new granddaddy of city building.
Yep.
Now, you and I both remember the SimCity days.
Oh yeah.
And I was talking with somebody on Twitter about this, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I remember playing SimCity and jamming to the music, and like it was
good.
SimCity 2 and SimCity 3 and SimCity 4, and then SimCity 2020 came out, or whenever it came out, 2018, 2019, and it was a bad launch, and it was the maps were tiny, the cities were not. It was an abandonment of everything that Maxis had built up until SimCity 4.
Yep.
And what had happened is EA bought Maxis and basically lobotomized. So you talk about SimCity, the last SimCity game being a failure.
Yeah.
You talk about The Sims 4 and how bad it has been received.
Yep.
And how awful the rollout and how awful the packs have been. They had a wedding DLC that put out.
I remember
It
you
didn't
said
work
that.
for a month and a half.
Oh, that's not good.
And EA didn't acknowledge it. And finally they put out a patch, and it 75% of it works.
That's not enough.
The other 25% is a little bit sketchy, but people have come up with mods to fix it because they know how to actually fix things versus EA. But that's the thing about EA is that they wonder why they're so vilified. Well, it's because you've taken like the games that we love and know, we know and love as older gamers, and then you try and present it as like, oh, look, it's pretty, right? It's shiny. You like shiny. And I'm like, yeah, I see below the shiny layer, and I see the poop you've put together, and this game is not playable. I don't want to
see the whipped cream, but we eat past that and
right.
see the crap.
And you're just like, oh, okay, this is not, I don't want this.
A big pile of poop.
But other people buy these games.
Yeah, I want
like the reason why EA has continued to put out Madden, because people keep buying it, even though it's not, like the last couple of years have not been new features. Nope. It's just been copy and paste.
Yep.
And just they basically copy and paste the players. And
yep.
So, like, this is the struggle of, like, I don't even know how we got on the subject, but we're here now. But, like, this is why, like, City Skylines is so popular. All these alternative games that, like, legit shake up the industry.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Stardew Valley has such a passionate player base and continues to grow. Stardew Valley is not a graphically strong game, but Stardew Valley has mechanics and a storyline that draw you in and push you to involve yourself and create and engage and do so much more. The reason why The Sims 3 and The Sims 2, The Sims 3 is still popular, why I will play The Sims 3 over Sims 4, because The Sims 3 allows me to play in my world, to affect my world, and for things to matter. And the mechanics and the programming works. There was a guy on YouTube who was talking about, like, Sims 2. People say Sims 2, out of all four of them, is the best.
Yeah.
Because the system works.
I would agree with
like
that.
It's the programming and the way that everyone connects with each other, like player and NPC and city mechanics and DLC mechanics, everything works. And Sims 2, that was back in the day when Maxis was still Maxis. Maxis was still putting out quality products. The Sims 3 was the last Sims game that actually kind of mattered.
Well, you remember Westwood Studios, right?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And so EA bought, do you remember what happened? EA bought them?
Yep, and Command & Conquer went out the window.
It went to crap.
Well, it became cartoony. Like, even like Red Alert 3 was just like, really?
Yeah.
This is no longer gritty and real. Like, the last Command & Conquer game I think that people really, really kind of talk about is Generals. CNC Generals
was pretty good.
Was fun, and it was real enough, but it was also funny enough, and it was cool enough that people, I still love reinstalling that game and playing it.
I like playing it.
Because it's cool. And so it's, you know, you're probably listening to this going, okay, look, you old guys have continue every week you complain about how the gaming world is failing you.
It is.
But here's the thing. It is not, I don't think it's failing us. I think it's failing everybody. But the problem is there are people and kids out there and whoever who just buy these games continually.
Yep.
And they just like, oh, it'll get better. Like, oh, it's a fun game, even though it's broken or whatever. And it's like, you know what? The reason why this independent studios on Steam are making such a difference and making such a big run for them, making a run for their money, is because they're figuring out people actually want to play good games.
That's a fact.
People want to play strong gameplay. They want to play deep, engaging concepts. They want to have mechanics that within a game that work. They don't want to be shortchanged. They don't want to have to play, pay for DLCs. Like, I'll be honest with you, WWE 2K22 came out. I bought it, and I played it a little bit, but then, like, there were some edits, some bugs and stuff, and I just stopped playing it. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we're putting out DLC. And I was like, well, what's the DLCs? The DLCs are extra characters that you can purchase, extra wrestlers, but you don't get them with the base game. You have to pay $10 to get, like, oh, you get Mick Foley and this other guy, this guy. Like, okay, cool. And then now you got to pay $10 more to get these other guys, and they're like retro wrestlers, and you really like your retro wrestlers, right? And I'm like, yeah, but am I going to pay like upwards of $40 for DLC when the original game was $60? Like, that's $100. What are you thinking? I'm not going to do this. Nope. And so I bought a gaming controller. I bought an actual Xbox gaming controller. And it's fun, but like it just sits on my desk right now, and I'm sure I'll get back into the wrestling game again, and I'll figure it out. But it's like, I'm tired of being teased. I'm tired of being led and told that it's going to be great, and then it's not. Like, even WWE 2K22, there are parts of it where they're just like infuriating, and I'm sure they've patched it, and I'll go back and play it this weekend, and we'll figure that out. But like, there's things that happen, like there's a stun bar or something where like your character rolls out of the ring because they're stunned. And then something happens in the ring and you can't get up fast enough, and you might lose the match because the dumb stun system is there. And so there's just, but that's like, I want to enjoy playing games. I don't want to feel like I'm being played with. And
Yeah.
a lot of times with a lot of this, I feel like that's the case. Anyway, that was a long rant.
I'm that way too, though. Like games are just, they're not what they used to be. They've lost their heart of what they're supposed to be.
Well, they're more interested in visuals. My biggest complaint about Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a beautiful game.
I've heard. Yeah.
It is a gloriously graphical,
Yep.
brilliant game.
Yep.
But the gameplay and the end result, I know what's going to happen. Arthur Morgan is going to, the character I'm playing is going to die. He doesn't go on. What's the point?
That's true.
But it is a gloriously beautiful game, and
I've heard.
we wander the world, and there is some cool gameplay. But it's like, I don't know.
For $60, we expect more.
Yeah, and I know that probably people out there are like, well, you're just dumb because you don't like Red Dead Redemption 2. I love the game, but it is there. I compare it to, it's almost like you're riding along in a movie.
Oh,
And so a lot of games will do this where it's beautiful.
Yep.
But you no matter what you do, the choices it's going to end the same.
Yep.
And that's with Red Dead Redemption 2. The opening prologue is like half an hour long or over 45 minutes, and you are on a predestined path. Yeah, you defend and you shoot, but you can't just go another way. You have to follow in the steps of the game to do, and it's like prologues are frustrating because I don't like them. I don't like being stuck in a. Give me 15 minutes. Let me figure out how to do the controls. Give me a real quick, brief introduction, and then let me loose. Let me play. But if you put me on railroad tracks and you put me like I have to go this way,
yeah.
Why do I want? Why am I gonna? It's the same thing with like some of the games that they. Oh, that studio. The studio that produced all the Walking Dead games, the Batman games.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. And
whichever one it is.
yeah, they fell apart because they couldn't actually get their game get their game engine to be better. They just kept using the old thing. And
but the Walking Dead game was pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, it was.
Cool.
It was cool, but unfortunately, that didn't really work out for them. So like, I don't want to be on a train track. I want to be able to do what I want to do. And people out there are like, well, you just need to get over. You can't always have a sandbox. I'm sorry. The gaming industry gave me a sandbox.
They did.
They created this. They got to deal with it. And I like to be able to explore. I like to be able to go free and do things. And that's why Elden Ring is so popular, because you can just wander around the environment and do whatever you want. And you don't have to follow the main story. You can spend hours exploring sides and quests and caves and everything else. So yeah, I've
heard Elden Ring
it's a lot of fun.
I still hadn't bought it yet.
It's a lot of fun. It takes time. Like I have to sit down and probably play it for an hour or 2 hours at a time just to kind of get into it. But that again that's the power of a good game.
That is.
Like you'll spend hours. Like City Skylines, I have played that thing at least an hour or two a day this week.
Darn.
Because I love creating the cities. I'm trying to figure out how to do it really well. Like I've watched a couple of YouTube videos and I figured out, I gotta build my structure this way, or I gotta build my cities and my roads and my exits and my highways. And so, but this City Skylines is upwards of 5+ years old.
Darn.
Game's been around a long time, and it's still fun because there's mods and there's DLCs, and it's fun because I love to try and get it right. I love to experiment. I love to figure out, can I design a city of more than 100,000 people? Can I make it to 1 million? Could I do it? And
that's a lot of people.
I haven't gotten that far, but it's just like
it's a lot of time.
That's my fun. That's the fun part of games, is just being able to create and enjoy and do what you will with the world. Okay, so we've talked exhaustively for the better part of 30 minutes about shaking our canes at the highway of life and saying, get off my lawn.
Electronic Arts.
Yeah. Curse you, EA. It's like that scene in, is it Romeo and Juliet? A pox upon both your families.
Yeah.
As not Brabantio, but the other guy dies. He is murdered by the hate between Romeo and Juliet. I don't know who's Romeo and Juliet in the EA situation, but... The metaphor falls apart.
Interesting, right there.
It doesn't work. It doesn't really work.
No.
It's more of like a Hamlet situation. Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe
a Hamlet, yeah.
You know what? Here it is. So EA murdered our dad, and then
they did.
And then he got together with our mom, and now he's trying to be our dad. And we're like, you're not our dad. You killed Maxis. Yeah. Maxis was our dad.
You killed our dad.
You killed our dad, and we don't like this. Get out. Work now. And then Hamlet happens.
Yep.
Because I was thinking like Macbeth doesn't really work, because Macbeth is like there's like 3 witches and there's like this whole murderous. It doesn't fit the metaphor of the EA situation.
That's true.
I think Hamlet probably fits it more.
Hamlet would be better. Yeah.
EA murdered our dad. We're mad.
Dad, infidels.
Communists.
Those commies.
And gosh darn them. Anyway, so now we'll shift over from that whole rant. So Chris, whatever your name is.
Either one, I don't care. You can call me whatever.
Sea Dog.
Sea Dog. I like that one.
I don't.
I like Sea Dog.
I don't like.
Oh, that's good.
I immediately regret my decision.
Oh, I like that one.
Dog.
Sea Dog.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're in trouble now.
Sea Dog.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
that's my new nickname.
I quit. I resigned effective immediately. This podcast is shutting down. I created a monster in less than 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I regret everything. All
Sea
right.
Dog. That's I liked it.
Oh, it's over. Game over, man. Game over. All right. So, Sea Dog, what?
Yes.
Talk to us about the game you've been playing. You were talking about it earlier.
Forza 5.
Okay, what is Forza 5?
So Forza 5 is an open world race car game.
Okay.
Kind of, okay.
Okay.
So it's not technically a race car game per se.
Okay.
It can be.
Okay.
So I like Forza because it's open world.
Yep.
You get a car and you drive around. You run into fences,
Okay.
other cars, people, whatever you want to run over, you run it over.
Okay.
That's what I like about it. It's like just an open world, just a cool game. And it looks
Really good.
incredible.
I've heard of Forza. I've never bought a Forza game.
It's good, man.
I'll have to check that out. So that brings up the topic of the Need for Speed games. Did you ever play? Okay, we're going off on 3 different tangents
Let's
at a time.
Let's go. Sea Dog is ready.
Oh God! See, what you're thinking out there is that I'm probably saying like SEA dog. No, we're talking C-DAWG.
That's right, dog.
Oh boy! All right, hold on. I got to find this game series. So it was on the PlayStation. PlayStation racing game Smash Cars.
One of the retro
Burnout Crash.
Oh yeah, I've heard
The
of that one.
Burnout series.
Yeah.
You were saying, sorry?
Crazy Taxi.
Crazy. Oh, I miss
What
Crazy Taxi.
What was that on? That was on.
That was on PlayStation.
Because there was one that was on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
That I really liked.
Oh no, that was okay.
I
So
think it
Taxi
was.
Driver. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Man, this is going a good direction now.
I remember that game,
game
and I
was
was
sweet.
jealous. It was called Taxi Driver, wasn't it?
I think it was Crazy Taxi.
Okay,
I think
Crazy
it was.
Taxi. Hold on, because I remember. So here's the thing: Crazy Taxi game. Let's find Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi. Okay, so Crazy Taxi.
Yeah. I love
Let's see. Series. Okay, so a series of games. So they started. Oh my gosh, 1999
Woo.
is when Crazy Taxi came out.
Yeah.
So Crazy Taxi. Yeah, so you could drive a taxi, you pick up people, and like you got points for how you did.
Yeah.
So there was an arcade game originally in 1999, so it was only in arcades,
Yep.
and it only had the San Francisco game. Then in 2000, in January 24th, 2000, it was the Dreamcast. So
Yes.
Crazy Taxi came to the Dreamcast,
Oh, I love
and
that console.
it. I don't think it gets enough credit for what it did.
Yeah.
Because the Dreamcast was the system for a while.
It was incredible.
And I remember we didn't own one, but I think my friends owned one or two, the Dreamcast. And it was like
oh my goodness.
Dreamcast was a lot of fun. And so Crazy Taxi definitely cemented, I think, the Dreamcast fun.
That's what went in my truck actually.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that. Okay.
Yeah, that's the system that system. So what I've wanted to do is I've wanted to go back and buy all the old systems that I used to have.
Yeah.
One of them being the Atari,
Okay.
but the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
That one's hard to find, and I had 3 of them. And now I don't know I don't remember what I did with them, but that's the one I've been wanting to get.
So Crazy Taxi 2 came out in 2001.
Yeah.
On the Dreamcast again.
Yeah.
So it had and then there was Crazy Taxi 3 High Roller in 2002. It was for Xbox, and then it went to PC in 2004.
Yeah.
And then there was Crazy Taxi Catch a Ride, was ported to the Game Boy Advance, apparently.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. Crazy Taxi Fair Wars was developed in Japan and released on PlayStation Portable in 2007.
I like Japan.
Crazy Taxi City Rush was announced by Sega in March 2014 as a free-to-play mobile title. Okay, well, now we're getting to mobile games. Crazy Taxi Tycoon is another mobile spin-off. So it looks like...
Good.
So yeah, so the Crazy Taxi we know and love actually did come off on PC at some point back in the day. Yeah, the 56% rating. It was a terrible port to the PC.
Yeah.
I think I played it on the PC and I was like, this is
garbage.
This is not good memories. But yeah, the Crazy Taxi 2 was on the Dreamcast, and then Crazy Taxi 3 was on Xbox and PC, and then after that, the Crazy Taxi they released on Game Boy Advance, PlayStation Personal, and iOS.
What is wrong with these people?
So it faded. But again, that's another property that had a really good chance of being kind of awesome. But yeah, Crazy Taxi. I remember that game because you had to like drive safely so your passenger didn't get mad, and the game really tried to make you crash.
And I wanted to go crazy, man. I wanted to drive that car like nobody's business.
Yeah, and the map wasn't great, so you had to really work hard to figure out where they were.
It was a good game though.
Oh, Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi was fun. So Burnout is a game series. It's part of the Burnout series.
Oh
yeah. Video game in the Burnout series. So Burnout series starts with Burnout, goes Burnout 2 Point of Impact, Burnout 3 Takedown. I loved that game. And then after that, Burnout Revenge, Burnout Legends. I played Revenge and Legends, I think. And then Dominator, I don't remember. Paradise, I remember. So Paradise was an open world.
Oh.
And it tried to be like Need for Speed. And I think I had that on my PlayStation 3 or 4. I had that game. It was different. Burnout Paradise, and then in 2011, Burnout Crash. And I don't remember that. And they did Burnout Paradise Remastered. So Burnout, the idea of I'm behind Burnout, I'll explain it real quick. And so Burnout 2, and Burnout 3 Takedown. They were all, and they're actually from EA, back in the good days of EA.
Yeah, they had good days, y'all.
They did.
They
Sort of.
Well,
so they had Point of Impact and Takedown and then Revenge. And the idea behind it is that you're given a stretch of road, okay? And you see the traffic, you see the cars, and you take your vehicle and you figure out what car to hit or what cars to hit to cause the most damage.
Yes.
And your calculation of your score is based upon how much money, how much damage you do to that intersection or that roadway.
I like this game already.
And as a teenager, it was so much fun. And as a young adult, it was everything. Because you can't do this in real life. Like, you'd get arrested, you'd be in jail for life.
Yeah.
But this game afforded you the opportunity to really go nuts.
Yeah.
And to just smash. It's like bumper cars on steroids. And so the Burnout series, Burnout 2, Burnout 3 Takedown, Burnout Revenge, and then Burnout Legends, I remember. I don't remember Dominator. And then Paradise was the one that really...
I've heard of that one.
I need to look at that. It's an open world racing game, and I think you could crash people in that game. Another part of the Burnout series was you in a race, and you would sideswipe a car or damage a car and take them out of the race. So you'd basically do a pit maneuver or something on them, and then you'd get points, and they would be out of the race, and then you could keep going, and then they might catch back up with you or something. But your goal was to bumper car your way to first place in the race as you went around the track or went through the city or whatever. And that was a lot of fun. It was hard because the computer would also try and smash you.
Yeah.
And they were actually really good. So you had to watch your six. You had to watch your front, make sure you were hitting people, but you had to watch out for a car that was coming after you.
Yep.
Because then they would take you out, and then you would lose your spot and get put back and reset and respawn and be at it again. I have a lot of good memories about the Burnout series. I had forgotten about it until we just started talking about it.
I did too. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that one.
But that's like the thing is, like, where did that game series go? We haven't heard about it. So the remaster was in 2018. That's been what, 4 years?
EA probably took it over.
They do everything, and then they lobotomize it,
They ruin it.
and then you're like, what the heck? So it was related to the Need for Speed series, apparently.
So that was the new one, the Paradise one you said?
Yeah, the Paradise was the last. Well, Burnout Crash apparently came out in 2011. It's a downloadable action racing game. It is developed by Criterion Games and published for the Xbox, not PC though.
Oh, that sucks.
That's the part that I think is problematic. Burnout Paradise, I think, actually came out for PC. It actually is. So I'll have to check that out because Burnout Paradise Remastered came out in 2018. So the Criterion staff jokingly asked if they could work on an installment in the Need for Speed franchise. This is how this all started, which puts some focus on stunt-type driving and collisions. The series game had been bounced between several of EA's internal studios. EA allowed them to develop a title, 2010's Hot Pursuit. Oh, I remember Hot Pursuit. Need for Speed Hot
That's
Pursuit.
my favorite one.
So much fun.
Dude.
So the Criterion staff did that.
Oh, that was
It was
a good
officially and financially successful. So then
Yeah.
Criterion became the lead studio for the Need for Speed franchise, and they made Hot Pursuit, and they made Most Wanted.
I never played Most Wanted.
And then they transferred the Need for Speed to Ghost Games, and they like that makes me really sad. So Criterion was kind of moved away from the racing series.
I loved Hot Pursuit. Man, that was like the best game ever. That was so much
Well, you
fun.
could be the police, and you could put down spike strips, and you could get helicopters to help you out. And I have memories. So when I was growing up in high school, I think it was high school. The
Yep.
Need for Speed series was the business.
It was.
And
yep.
for PC, if you had a good PC and you could play it, it was so much fun. Or if you had a console,
I had a console.
oh,
yeah.
it was the thing. Like, you were not cool unless you were playing Need for Speed or whatever and doing that kind of whole thing. This is back in the day. I think we've talked about this, where Jane's computer games were making.
Jane's, yeah.
Jane's was making
simulators.
in the simulators, and
Yep.
like their manuals were like 45 pages thick.
They were.
And you're
Yeah.
just like, what the heck? What's going on here?
Well, I gotta have a manual to play the game
Because you're flying a jet, like you're
Yeah.
flying a fighter jet. I guess
Yep.
was apparently a thing.
Ooh, I also tried Microsoft Flight Simulator.
The new one recently.
Yeah,
What'd you think? I'm curious because
I freaking hated it.
What?
I hated it.
What?
Okay, so
Hold
for
up.
one-
Team timeout. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator, the
Okay.
brand spanking new one. That
Don't get me wrong. It looked
you
beautiful.
are wrong. Okay,
It
you're,
looked
you're
beautiful.
Wrong. There's never been anyone more wronger in the history of wrong
It's
than
just
the
not,
wrong you are right now. How dare you, sir? That okay? All right. I will let
didn't-
you explain yourself, and then I will condemn you to hell.
Yeah,
Continue.
It's not my cup of tea, man.
What kind of tea is you drinking? Like what the?
Well, because
That's like saying like I don't like water.
I couldn't
Okay,
figure out.
that's hyperbole. I apologize. That's a little bit out of control.
No, it's not. I mean, because
You're very kind, but it is. You not liking Microsoft Flight Simulator is a normally acceptable thing, except for me, whose passion for my Flight Simulator runs from when the thing started back like 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've played every edition I can get my hands on. So why
it's
didn't you
beautiful,
like
man.
Yes,
it's
it is.
beautiful. I'll give you that.
Okay, what don't you like about it?
It just, I don't know. I couldn't take off. I couldn't take off, and I'm like, if I can't hit W or space and it don't take off,
Hold on. Team timeout.
Seriously, I'm not joking.
Oh, no.
So I didn't take the time to look at the controls or any of that. I'm like, I'm going to just try to figure this out, and if I can't, it took forever to install.
Because it's like
It's a huge
million
game.
gigs.
Yeah, it's
so
a
let me
huge
get
game.
this straight.
It's a
Now,
huge
normally,
game.
here's the thing. Normally, Chris, your method of
Yep.
like just kind of going in blind and stumbling your way through.
Yep.
90% of the time, it works.
It works.
It
But
works.
this one,
It's like
No,
it's
you
like
can't-
you sign up for the Navy
Yeah,
and you're
you-
like, "Yep, I'm gonna be a sub pilot." And they're
We're
like,
just
"You know
gonna-
anything about it?" "Nope, I'm gonna learn as I go." They're
let's
like,
wing-
"No."
let's wing it. Let's wing
Yeah.
it. That's why I am.
You would be terrible at the Top Gun school.
I would.
Tom Cruise is like, "Okay, well, how do you think you're gonna?" You're like, "I'm just gonna wing it, Tommy. It's C-Dog in the house. Let's take this jet to 6 G's." Cruise is like, "You crazy? No, get this man out of here.
Like, man,
Who let him in here?
he's
Which
out
admiral
here."
signed up on this?"
Yeah. I mean it. Okay, so I like the.
Oh,
I
no.
like it because of the seasons.
Yeah.
That is the part, and like the weather and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the part that
Well,
I think
it
is
all
interesting.
dynamically updates.
It's dynamic.
So whatever the
that's
weather
crazy.
here, wherever you land or take off or flying,
That's
it's
crazy.
it's downloading
That's
like up to
insane.
the second weather, cloud
Yep.
cover, precipitation,
That's insane.
wind, and it updates
Yep.
like the geography,
Yep.
and it is an incredible advancement in AI technology.
And
what they've done.
I may try it again because I did like the idea of the weather part. That part seemed cool.
I just love. I couldn't take off. I
didn't. I don't even look at the instructions. Like it's when I build something, I figure it out. I never read
Okay.
instructions or any
Okay.
of that.
It's
But
just-
that game, you have to.
yeah, you kind of have to.
You have to. That one, you have to. There you go, y'all. That's my advice for Flight Simulator. You better.
Chris Sherrill's review of Flight Simulator.
It sucks.
Game sucked. Couldn't take off.
There you go. That's all I'm
There's
giving
your
y'all.
Steam review. There it is. That's the best Steam review you'll ever not read. on Steam for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
But I do want to try it again. I do. I just don't want to. I don't like taking the time. I like to get in a game and play it.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
And I understand. So here's the thing. So on the other side of this, I get that. I have when the new Flight Simulator came out, because the last Flight Simulator that I bought was a Flight Simulator X, and that was apparently supposed to be the last edition.
I
And
remember that one.
It was pretty cool. Like, it was legit. Like, it had a lot of graphical improvements. But when this one was announced, I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting that one.
Man, it looks good.
But the problem
Holy
is
crap.
that you do, like, I have to, and I haven't played it in a while. I need to get back into it because they've done a whole bunch of graphical updates and additions.
Looks good.
I love the idea. I'd love to fly. Now, personally, I've never taken a flying lesson. I actually don't like flying on a commercial airline with people.
Me neither.
I don't. I'm not a plane flyer. Don't like it. It makes me nervous.
I don't like it either.
I'll go into the details later so people can, understand my irrational fear. You're safer on an airplane than you are on a car, but that doesn't make a difference to my brain.
It don't feel that way.
No,
It don't feel that way.
Reject your reality and insert my own terrible, terrifying world.
Yep.
Anyway, so the beauty of Flight Simulator is there are, even as I've been playing it for years, I have to hit the pause button and look for my controls. Because it's complicated. Like,
it is complicated.
Well, because I use a joystick.
Oh,
and it has buttons that I have to assign, and then I have some pedals that I've used for my driving games that I could probably use for the ailerons and the shifting and the stuff.
Yep.
The thing I love about Flight Simulator is that once you get a grasp on it, and once you get a good joystick or a steer, whatever, is you can fly anywhere. Like, you can fly out of Fort Morgan. Their Fort Morgan Municipal Airport is in Flight Simulator.
Oh, really?
And you can fly out of Fort Morgan Municipal Airport.
Okay, now I got to reinstall it. Now I got to reinstall this. Would be cool.
On a 747. You can fly out of DIA.
Crazy.
You can fly out of Centennial Airport in Littleton over here. So there's a small town, very small town, where my parents grew up, 10 miles from the Canadian border.
Yep.
It's called Opine, Montana. It's a great little place. Love it to death. Miss the big sky country. I can fly out of Opine Municipal Airport with whatever plane I want. I've tried a 747. It takes a bit. It doesn't quite make it sometimes. But like, you can fly out of any airport in the United States that's in the database of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And it creates the environment so it looks pretty similar to what you're seeing. The cool thing about Fort Morgan is if you fly out of Fort Morgan, so I've done it a couple times where I fly out of Fort Morgan Municipal with a track, and you can set it to like start point, end point, and then it'll guide you through the instruments, so you can land at DIA, or you can land at Centennial, or you can land at Colorado Springs. Like, I've done that where I've taken off from Fort Morgan, and I have flown to DIA. And I think I've done it once where I've landed on the right right place, and I got to the taxiway, but it's relaxing because there's no like, bombs, and it's just like, and there is a community. It is an incredible community of people that will play this online multiplayer. And they'll play together, and they'll create airlines, and they'll have people on the air traffic control, like actually doing the dispatch as a multiplayer, where they'll be like, okay, come forward and pull short to runway 225 left, squawk 02277. And the other guy's like, okay, and he makes the changes on his plane in the game.
Crazy.
277 squawk, okay, pull right, roger that 10. Like, they've got the whole lingo down. Like, there is that, but that's, I think, the fun part of Flight Simulator is you can fly real time. Like, if I wanted to fly from DIA to like San Francisco, I could. And it would be real time. Like, I would fly to however many hours it is to San Francisco, and and you transfer from traffic control to traffic control. So when you fly out of Denver, you're with the departures, and then you get to a certain point, and they transfer you over to either another tower or the next airport, and they go, we're handing you off, and then you go, hey, I've followed my flight plan, and they might say, okay, climb to 60,000 at 200 miles an hour or whatever, and you have to then do it, or they're like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you got to fly, because in the game it simulates other planes around you, and they might say, hey, check your traffic. Do you see this plane? You
got a freaking plane coming right.
Well, no, not like that, but like, hey, there's some traffic in your area. Please acknowledge that you see it.
Interesting.
You look out and you see it. You go, yep, roger that, ATC. I see that airplane, and it's like it
sounds really fun.
It's fun because it's like you're in control.
Yeah.
And it's not really, it is high pressure ish, but you can make it so like there's no failures, and you can make it pretty easy for yourself.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm already scared.
We're on the same plane. We're on the same plane.
Yeah,
we're on the,
no pun intended.
No pun intended. We're on the same plate. Whatever. We're on the same. What's this expression? We're on the same.
We're on the same wavelength.
Page,
Same
not plane.
page. Oh my God.
Page, wavelength, and plane. Pick your
one of
metaphor.
those.
We've got a couple. We're not in the same car though. We're not on the frontage road. We're on different highways. Anyway, so yeah, like that's what I love about Flight Simulators because it's just fun. Like I can get lost in that. I could spend half a day just flying and making my changes and.
Sounds fun.
It is. It does take time, which is the nice thing, but it is a lot of fun. So there you go, Flight Simulator. If you haven't checked out the latest edition of Flight Simulator, you need to because it's fun. It
looks gorgeous.
You just need to learn how to fly or launch or take off.
You need how to take off. Yeah, read the directions, y'all.
The only time Chris will ever give you that advice in the game.
Read the directions on that one.
Don't read the directions on anything else, but read the instructions.
That one, read the directions. Read the instructions.
That's delightful. Yeah,
it did look good though. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
It looked great, really, really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we talked about Starfield. Anything else in your gaming world coming up before we head towards closing this out?
No. Now that Starfield's coming out way later, no, frig, they just ruined my whole week now. But I got tomorrow off, so that didn't ruin my whole week. Actually, that made it better. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about going back and visiting some of the Star Wars games.
Yeah.
Because I love Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Battlefront, I played that one.
Did you ever play like the TIE Fighter, the X-Wing games? So that's old school. That is proper old school.
Yeah, I didn't play those.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about we'll extend this episode a little bit, but TIE Fighter. I think they're yeah. So
Is that what it's called?
So there's a whole bunch of the series. So there's TIE Fighter, and then there's X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and then there's X-Wing, and then so the thing about these games is it's old school. They came out in 1994.
Holy
yeah.
crap.
It's a little bit bonkers. But the thing about this game is that it's a dogfight game. Like you're not like wandering around an open world. Yep. You are in a TIE fighter. You are leading the Empire towards victory in battle. And the cool thing is the way that TIE Fighter was is you had to have the guidebook with you to install or to like even open the program. You would say, hey, go to page 46, find the third word in the third. So the copy protection was based on having the manual so that you couldn't pirate it back in the 90s, which they were really impressive. But if you look at it.
That is impressive.
It is a lot of fun. And it's, it's not full motion. It's not full motion video. It's very cartoonish, but it is these games they were done by LucasArts and Disney, but they were done by primarily LucasArts.
Disney.
So LucasArts back in the day, they did incredible games.
They were very good, y'all.
They were just insanity. Yep. So there's X-Wing, there's X-Wing Special Edition, X-Wing Series, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. There are a lot of these old school games. They have on Steam. They even have the X-Wing series all together for like $30.
$30.
So X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance, and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I might actually just pick this up today.
I'm actually considering doing it too.
Because the thing is, like the music, it will instantly it's nostalgia for me.
Yep.
Me and my buddies, and I think this was middle school for us, and a little bit of high school. But middle school, we played these games because we loved Star Wars and we loved good stories. Oh my gosh, the '90s game, like
they were the best.
We talk about Command and Conquer. You talk about TIE Fighter. You talk about X-Wing. A lot of like Total Annihilation. A lot of
Annihilation.
A lot of the great games that really set the stage for the future.
Yep.
And then EA ruined it.
Then EA came.
Yeah. Curse you, EA. But it's like that. Those are like some classic, and they're fun. Like even today, you can play them and have just a bunch of fun.
They're just a ball, man.
And that's the thing about a lot of that old school stuff is that, and the reason why a lot of independent game studios are really making inroads through Steam and even through This is what happens. I forget the game. Epic. There it is. Epic Game Store. So like a lot of independent game studios are actually able to produce their content and put it up through through Epic or through Steam or whatever, and people will buy them and they'll get popular because people will share it, and it'll really take off.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I look back at the past and I go, man, we have some really crazy. We were really lucky when we were kids. The games that we were getting,
God, it was so good.
It was almost like a renaissance. I think it was a renaissance of computer gaming.
It was.
Because before that, it was all point and click, or it was DOS games, and those were cool. But all of a sudden, when you started to have the ability to play as an X-wing or take control or really tell a narrative story, and
it draws you in,
and it was like, even with the limited graphics that we had available at that time, it was still just some really, really good stuff. So there we go. There's your gaming recommendation for your summer. Explore the X-Wing series on Steam if you haven't already. They're cheap. They're $10 each. You buy 6 of them, I think, for $30 right now. It's just a lot of fun. There's some really cool retro games. Good Old Games has a lot of cool games that you can dig into from the past.
What about that one we were talking about, the Stanley?
The Stanley Parable.
Parable.
So the new one came out, the deluxe edition. I haven't played it yet. Have you checked it out?
No, but I have actually been watching and seeing that game pop up here and there.
Okay.
And people saying how great it is. So I may end up picking that one.
You know what? Here's what we'll do for the next episode. So we record in 2 weeks, I think.
Yep.
So let's both invest some time in the Stanley Parable Deluxe Edition.
Yep.
And then we'll come back in 2 weeks. We'll sit down and we'll compare our experience, and we'll see what we have to tell you about it. Because I feel like, and this is probably a bit of hubris on my part or ego on my part, but I feel like we are not your 19-year-old YouTubers. We're not your 20-year-old, 16-year-old.
Oh no. No.
We have that ability to really get into the details to dig into okay, does this mechanic work? Does this gameplay plot point, or does the concept function as a good game?
Exactly.
And I think there's a lot to talk about with Stanley Parable, because the original Stanley Parable came out, and this is now the sequel / the deluxe edition, the expanded kind of edition, which really definitely is on my list.
And Myst. I think I'm going to play Myst.
Because I talked about picking that up, and I don't think I ever circled back to it.
Yep.
Okay, I'll put that on my list as well, because I have very strong nostalgic memories with Myst. It's the same thing with TIE Fighter. It's the same thing with those games. I can distinctly remember, and memory is troublesome when you're old. Not when you're older, but when that much time has passed, when 20+ years has passed.
Oh yeah.
You're not sure if you trust your memory. And I feel like I trust my memories in this one specifically.
To some degree.
But I remember playing Myst and just being like, what is this? This is so cool. And then I would get frustrated because I hated the puzzles.
Yeah, a friend of mine, she loves that game.
Yeah.
She loved it. She highly recommended the original.
Yeah.
And said that they came out with a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said,
I heard on Steam it's not great. You have to go to Good Old Games to get it, GOG, to get a functional. I'll have to look that up. We'll in 2 weeks we'll be back with Stanley Chronicles, and we'll be back with Myst, and there's a couple of series. There's Myst, there's Riven.
Oh, Riven.
I think Riven was a sequel.
I've heard of Riven, yeah.
We'll come back with that because I've got some time this next 2 weeks to play some games in the summer and do all that kind of fun stuff. So there you go. There's our hour and 1 minute long.
Yes, it was good too.
Flashback and flash forward, and look forward to seeing and hearing and seeing. Looking.
We're doing something.
Something is happening. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be a great experience for everybody involved. All right. Well, this has been fun. This has been a pleasure and an honor and all the things. Hopefully, you got something out of it. If you didn't, well, there's thousands of other gaming podcasts out there.
Right.
If you don't like us, it's not the end of the world. We just like talking about stuff. So
yeah, we do.
There you go. My name is. I was about to say my name.
Your name's Chris. Sea-Dog. Oh, that's so good.
I hate this running joke, but I also love it at the same time.
A-Dog.
No. God, no. It doesn't work with A-Dog.
Yeah, it does. It sounds a little weird.
It's like, I don't like it. Sea-Dog sounds like, okay, that's kind of cool.
That's legit.
You're legit. You earned that. You earned that somehow.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. A-Dog.
Yeah, we're going to have to come up with
It's like a middle school kid being like, yeah, man, I'm A-Dog. No, you're not. Go in the, I'm going to stuff you in the locker. I never got stuffed in lockers. I'll be very, very honest with you.
Yeah,
I did not get stuffed in a locker, thankfully, but
I didn't either.
I was the nerd. Avoided the lockers, though. All right, so my name is Aaron.
My name is Chris.
Also known as Sea-Dog.
Sea-Dog. Yeah, there you go.
Gosh, dang.
I was going to say it.
This has been the County Gamers. We're going to go get back on the road and get the heck out of here. We'll be back. We'll be back here in 2 weeks. We'll see you then.
Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to the County Gamers Podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts that are hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus here in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, the language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.